Ahead on DC News Now at 4, U.S. Marshals involved in a shooting in Northwest D.C. What police are saying about their investigation at this hour.
It's hot, humid, but dry today. However, showers and storms will return Friday. We'll time out when this wet weather will begin.
From fencing to road closures and parking restrictions, preparations for the military parade continue. What you need to know to get around D.C. this weekend.
Also, students in Maryland walking out after a classmate was deported.
This is an outrage because, why are you deporting students? And it's like the students have the right to stay.
Why they're sounding the alarm over the president's immigration policies. And time to break a leg. We take a look at the upcoming season at the Washington Ballet. It'll have you spinning.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
And thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 4. I'm Mark Hall. Tosin Fakile has the day off. A lot to get to today. A shooting in Northwest DC near the convention center involving a U.S. Marshal. Our Randy Bass is on scene and will have a full report that's just ahead. And the district continues to prepare for Saturday's military parade. Local businesses are gearing up for potential impacts, and that in just a few minutes. But first, let's take a live look outside on this hot and muggy Thursday. Roslyn, Virginia. Right now, there is a code orange air quality alert. Arlington County Office of Emergency Management says that the air quality may be unhealthy for older adults and people with respiratory issues. And Damon, that heat today can't be helping.
No, Mark, it's that combination really that's causing those air quality issues out there today. We had smoke in the sky yesterday from those Canadian wildfires. You saw the haze on Wednesday, but we didn't see air quality alerts. That's because that haze stayed high enough in the sky, it wasn't of any impact. But today it's down closer to the ground, and these rising temperatures and humidity levels aren't helping with that either. So there's that air quality alert Mark was just talking about. It is mainly for the DC metro, surrounding counties in Virginia and Maryland, even all the way out west toward Loudoun and Prince William counties. Now, that doesn't mean we aren't dealing with haze elsewhere in the DMV, but this is where that air quality is the lowest, hence the need for those alerts. And it's no surprise, like I mentioned, because of how much these temperatures have spiked, folks. The streak is over. We finally hit 90+ degrees in the district. We're at 92 at this very moment. This is the latest we've hit 90+ in DC for the first time in a year since 2003. So it took us a bit of time, but we finally have that heat built up out there, and much of the rest of the DMV right on par in the lower 90s. And we're going to continue to deal with these hot temperatures, hazy skies, and we'll also have increasing humidity and cloud cover as we head through the end of the day today. But that is about it. That's the main trend as we wrap up this Thursday. But on Friday, we are expecting showers and storms to return. When should we be prepared for things to get a little bit stormy and soggy? We'll have a full look at your forecast coming up here in just a bit.
Damon, thank you. And for more updates on everything you need to know to be weather aware, head to our website, DCNewsNow.com, or just scan the QR code on your screen. And right now, police are investigating after a United States Marshal shot someone near the Washington Convention Center this morning. Police say that he's in the hospital being treated for injuries. And DC News Now's Randy Bass has been tracking new developments for us from the scene today. Randy, what's the latest at this hour?
Yes, the details are still slim at this point. Hours after that shooting here along 7th Street near the Washington Convention Center early this morning, the U.S. Marshal Service tells us they are still piecing together everything that happened leading up to that shooting. U.S. Marshals say one of their on-duty senior deputies fired those shots near 7th and L Streets in Northwest at the end of the busy morning rush hour right around 10 a.m. What happened before those shots rang out, still not clear.
We do not know all the specifics as it relates to what predicated the encounter, but we do know that the United States Marshal perceived a threat during which gunfire was exchanged.
The person who was shot described as a male, but not clear whether he was an adult or a juvenile. Marshals say he was in surgery for his injuries this afternoon.
Give my sympathies to anyone who's been impacted, the civilian, certainly the law enforcement community, and the community at large. When something like this happens, it's not a good thing for anyone.
The D.C. Police Department investigates all shootings involving officers in the district. They're also looking into any criminal investigations associated with the incident. People passing through were shocked to see such a large police presence around the convention center.
I haven't seen a shooting in broad daylight in a while. I was surprised. I was a bit shocked. At first I thought there would be some event of some sorts with this high police presence, but no, it was just police on police on police and some of that yellow tape that they have.
7th Street here along the Convention Center route has since reopened in the hours following that shooting. We are continuing to reach out to police and U.S. Marshals for updated information. In Northwest, I'm Randy Bass, DC News Now.
All right, Randy, thank you. Intense scene in Hagerstown's North End. A police officer was shot during a barricade situation early this morning. The suspect has barricaded himself in his home in the 700 block of Forest Drive. We spoke with a neighbor returning from work. She says that she's been worried about her kids not being allowed to leave their house while police have the suspect's home surrounded.
A domestic violence call. In the course of that call, one of our officers was shot. He was hit in the arm.
Just checking on them, making sure they're okay, and make sure they stay away from the windows.
Hagerstown Police getting support from the Maryland State Police, the Washington County Sheriff's Office, also help from Frederick's K-9 team. We'll keep you updated as the barricade situation continues to unfold. New at 4, a hearing for Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland man mistakenly deported to El Salvador back in March. He's taking place on Friday. Abrego Garcia made headlines last week with news of his return to the U.S. That return facilitated from a 2022 traffic stop in Tennessee, where he faces charges for an unlawful transportation of illegal aliens. Top officials allege that Garcia is a danger to the community and a human trafficker. His wife denies the allegations. That hearing taking place at 10 a.m. tomorrow. That's in Tennessee for an arraignment and a detention hearing. And we have team coverage today as preps for the military parade continue. Our Shanika Grimshaw tracking the latest road closures. We'll get to her in just a minute, but first, let's head to our Marielle Carbone with some of the impacts to the district. Marielle.
Yeah, Mark, if you haven't already seen the tanks rolling through D.C., I'm sure you've seen some of this, the fencing up, the road closures, and now some parking restrictions in place. Now, the impacts, they go beyond just traffic impacts, and they have some people celebrating, others frustrated. With the military parade set to roll through D.C. in just days, businesses near the White House are gearing up.
We are expecting a lot of crowds, so yes.
Marian Aquino is the general manager of White House Gifts. She says big events mean big spending.
For inauguration, we had maybe about 5,000 people coming into the stores. We had the 5 registers and 2 handheld because it was that busy.
Already, fencing is up around the White House, National Mall, and more, with security checkpoints in place. The visuals bringing some unease in the district.
So having something of this magnitude and seeing military tanks kind of roll by the place where we live is concerning.
Edward Ryder is the chair of ANC 6B, and that concern sparking the group to pass this resolution, asking the parade to be canceled or moved from D.C.
We heard a lot from our constituents. One, that they didn't want the parade here to begin with, the optics of it happening on President's birthday. We felt it was important for us to speak out.
Short of relocating, it requests D.C. be reimbursed for any road damage and police overtime, and for the military to leave D.C. by 6 a.m. Monday.
Well, once the military is here, who's to say they necessarily are going to leave?
Already, parking restrictions and road closures are in effect.
It's definitely impacting my travel plans because I know I have to leave early because of road closures.
Terry Coughing, in town from Las Vegas, is glad to be leaving beforehand.
I think this parade is a waste of time and money.
But for those staying, planning ahead will be crucial.
Our concern is about employees getting into here because there's going to be a lot of checkpoints.
And there are more road closures going into effect tonight, tomorrow, and throughout the weekend. DCA will also be closed for several hours on Saturday. We've got all of that information for what you need to know to best get around DC. That is up on our website, dcnewsnow.com. Reporting live downtown, I'm Marielle Carbone, DC News Now.
All right, Marielle, thank you. And before the military parade on Saturday, protesters in Arlington plan to line the streets. And ARLnow.com is reporting that protesters will line 5 miles of sidewalk between Roslyn and Falls Church. They plan to have signs saying that things like "No dictators, no crowns," and "We the people, not a king." About 2,000 people have already signed up to be part of the peaceful demonstration. The president previously warned that he will deploy heavy force against any protesters at the parade. The White House officials have since walked back those comments. And be prepared for significant road closures and transit impacts for the Army's 250th birthday parade and the festival this Saturday, from early closures to restricted parking and even waterway limits. Our traffic anchor, Shanika Grimshaw, tells us what you need to know before hitting the road.
That's right. There will be major traffic, parking, and transit impacts in D.C. from now through Monday, June 16th, for the U.S. Army's 250th birthday parade. Taking a closer look at the maps, dozens of downtown streets and highways will close or will have restricted access, especially around the National Mall, with full closures ramping up Friday, June 13th. Now, take a closer look at your maps. You'll have emergency no parking signs. That'll be in pink, and they'll be posted on numerous streets in the downtown core area, from 23rd Street Northwest all the way to 7th Street and across key east-west corridors like Constitution Avenue, Independence Avenue, Madison Drive, and Jefferson Drive. We have major street closures, and you can see that all in red. That's going to begin June 12th, and with the most extensive shutdowns going into effect early Friday morning, including a large portion of Constitution and Independence Avenues, along with Pennsylvania Avenue, Rock Creek Parkway, and the Arlington Memorial Bridge, also surrounding areas near the National Mall, the Lincoln Memorial. Now, Virginia drivers, you must take note the GW Parkway will close in both directions, and that's between US 50 and I-395. That's going to start Friday evening at 6 p.m., and that'll remain shut down through Sunday morning. Portions of Route 27, Washington Boulevard, will also be affected with full closures near the Pentagon. We also have several highways, ramps, and expressways, including I-395 that exit to get to the National Mall, East Street Expressway, and the Potomac River Freeway. They'll all be closed. Portions of the Memorial Bridge will also be off limits to vehicles.
All right, thanks to Shanika. Meantime, a new poll from the Associated Press Nork Center for Public Affairs Research revealing 6 in 10 Americans say that Saturday's parade is, quote, not a good use of government money. However, still more adults approve of the parade overall, with 4 in 10 saying that they somewhat or strongly approve, and only 3 in 10 saying that they do not. You can find a full list of changes and everything you need to know about the military parade on our website, DCNewsNow.com. Up next on DC News Now at 4, candidates for Virginia governor, both promising to eliminate car tax. Why it's a big deal for voters. And later, students walking out at Blair High School in Maryland, why they're rallying around a deported classmate.